guys, welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. So today I have a special guest host. Can you introduce yourself? So your name, how old are you, and where are you from?
Hi, Savannah. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Stacy Miller. I'm a 32-year-old amateur bikini competitor, recently nationally qualified, and I am out of Bowie, Maryland. Woo woo.
Nice. Okay. So how many competitions have you done thus far?
I've done 3 so far.
And where were your placings? How did those go?
So my most recent competition was the NPC Warrior Classic. I got second in novice and second in open, which I'm super proud of, gaining me my national qualification. And I'm hoping to do nationals in December in Orlando. So we are officially 11 weeks out.
So you're prepping.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm excited. And you're a part of best team in the whole entire world. So what team are you on?
Team Elite Physique. Shout out to Sam Catlin, the best coach ever.
Okay, so we're teammates. The reason why I wanted to bring Stacy on is because she slid into my DMs and she had this great idea for a podcast episode. I'm like, why don't you just come host it with me? So what is our topic for today?
Our topic for today is things that your loved ones should know about you when you're competing. You know, I think everybody gets really weird like questions and comments from their family when they're on prep. They don't always understand it. They don't know what you're going through. And I thought, oh my gosh, I listen to podcasts all the time and we're super educated on the sport and what we're going through, but our families and our loved ones and our friends have no clue why really we need to bring tilapia and shredded lettuce to dinner when we go out. So I thought it would be fun to make a podcast on the things that your loved one needs to know to support you. So we could give this to them and say, okay, here, let me boil it down for you real quick. Help you understand a little bit of my lifestyle in the hopes of gaining some more support from your family and friends.
Yes, I love this episode. So I have a significant other. So my boyfriend has been with me since I started my journey, like before and after. So he got to witness like Savannah as not a bodybuilder and now as a bodybuilder. And I asked him this morning, was like, hey, what do you think about this topic? Like, what do you wish you would have known? Or like, what was something that you didn't really realize in the beginning of the journey that you kind of know now? And like his response to this question was, he goes, well, at first, I really didn't think it was serious. He's like, it was just like a hobby. It was like a phase that you were doing. I didn't know like how much it like meant to you. And so at first he might have poked fun at like, why are you eating this? Or, come on, like, let's just have a meal or, just have a drink. It's fine. Like one drink isn't going to hurt. Like one meal out isn't going to hurt. And I was like, no, I have to do this because my coach says my plan is this. And I have to make sure that I'm on plan the entire time. So it was an adjustment period. Like it wasn't completely smooth. I remember like a lot of family members, they kind of have to go through the journey with you. And like my parents are very supportive, but that's not the case for everyone. So they were a little bit concerned. And, my mom was like very big into eating and making food. And so when I would go to her house and like I couldn't partake in her homemade meal, it seemed like it was like offending her. And she's now kind of to the point where she'll like ask me if I need a separate meal or like, hey, do you want me to like make this on the side? So it's nice that the evolution has happened. But what is your experience like for the same thing? Like, do you have a significant other? How did they respond before and after?
Yeah, absolutely. So with my husband, I think that, when I started this journey 3 years ago, we were both just like overweight. I think I was something like 40 pounds overweight. He was something like 20 or 30 pounds overweight, and you just like let life and marriage get to you. So we had both decided to go on this fitness journey where we would eat really healthy and go to the gym. And just, of course, he goes to the gym for like 2 months and he's like skinny and ripped and like perfect. And I'm just like chugging along, having lost 10 pounds. So like having his support there in the beginning really helped. When he fell off, I can't lie, it got super hard for me. And I knew that in order for this to be sustainable, I needed to create a goal that was more long-term because, coming as from someone who wasn't familiar with the sport, wasn't an athlete, and just kind of discovered it 3 years ago as a way to kind of make myself adapt more better to this lifestyle. I really didn't know, what to do or how to approach it or where to find support until I found, all these podcasts like yours and Team Elite Physique to get the support that I needed. So, once he like lost his weight and he was good to go, I was like, I need something to continue on this path. And he was just totally supportive of that, because we both kind of noticed how much healthier we were, how much happier we were, how much more willing to go out and do more things. And like, it changes your mental health too, and your lifestyle, your emotions just are so much happier when you work out, your endorphins. So it was a great part of the journey with him. With my family, it was much more difficult because like you go to your mom's house and like moms want to feed you. They want to see you. I'm like, oh, you're too skinny. You need to, put some weight on. And I'm married. And my mom's like, when are you going to get pregnant, have a baby? And I'm like, oh boy, how do I tell her? Not anytime soon, because I'm prepping for this fitness competition. So it was hard for like my parents to understand that and why I couldn't eat a Sunday night meal. And I would get the comments like, I made you salmon. Salmon's healthy. Why can't you eat the salmon? Trying to explain to your parents, I don't know how much olive oil is in the meal that you just cooked, so I can't eat it. Like, they just can't comprehend that. They don't know about this world. So a funny part of the story is I told mom, hey, I did a bodybuilding competition and I showed her like my first photo. It's one of these ones behind me. And she goes like, what is this? I was like, yeah, it's bodybuilding. It's like for muscles. And she's like, what muscles? And I was like, oh my God, mom, like, okay, just like dagger in the heart. But eventually with consistency and like coming to her house with my little scale, she kind of got it and she started making me chicken, but then it would be chicken thighs. And I would have to explain to her why I needed breasts instead of thighs. And like that, she was like, it's chicken, it's healthy. So, kind of educating her on that. I think she's gotten a bit of a healthier lifestyle, particularly through COVID, and she doesn't hassle me anymore. But, sometimes it's hard to go home and not have the treats and have the home cooking, because it's so, it's fulfilling, it's comforting. So luckily Sam is nice enough to give me some free space where I can enjoy that every once in a while. So it helps.
And it's hard. I think the hardest part for me is like the improvement season, or the quote unquote off season, because now like the prep is like over. So your family is like shoving cookies and treats. It's like, let's go out to dinner. Here's all your favorite cupcakes, and I got you candy bars, and like you're ready to like gorge yourself, like you can be normal again. And I kind of have to like, it doesn't turn off. I'm like, it's just like I get to eat a little bit more of the same thing that I have been eating for the last time, because I enjoy it. Like, it's not at this point, like I love my meals. Like I love chicken and I love my like, meal preps. It's not like I feel like I'm missing out. And it's just, they can't comprehend like that someone might actually enjoy like eating healthy, like forever. And
Yeah.
like the way that they're eating, it kind of like grosses me out sometimes. So I think that's a really hard part of like now in an improvement season. It's like, it's not an everyday binge fest. Whereas in the past, when I wasn't as strict as I've been, it was now that the show's over, it was just like an eating session. And now I'm taking it a lot more serious. And it's like, this is now a lifestyle. And it does take some time for your family members to like understand. It's like, oh, this is who you are now. It's not a phase. And it kind of takes a long time. Like, I don't think it was probably until like my second or third show, like the second or third year, where it was like, okay, like you're committed. Like it wasn't just like like, oh, you're cute, like you're doing this little thing, like you have a nice little hobby, like that's so cute. And then it's like, no, like this is pretty serious now. Like this is my new person that I'm being. And I feel like there was a point in my life where it was like before bodybuilding and then after, and the two people are so different. They're not even the same person anymore. And same thing with like friends, they've had to kind of like evolve with me, or like never see them again. Because there's certain people that I had friends in college that were like drinking buddies, like you just hang out, like let's go out to the bars, let's go out to drink, or every single time it was revolved around drinking or food. Like, let's go out, grab a meal, let's grab some drinks or whatever. And now when you're like, okay, I can't. Like saying no for so long, you kind of stop getting invited to events, which is fine. it kind of sucks. It's like, oh, but at the same time, like, prep, it's busy. Sometimes you can't, like, you physically don't have the energy to go.
Yeah.
So what was your experience with your friendships during the journey?
Oh my gosh. Really like a similar experience to you. I think that, early on, people always want to go out on the weekends, prior to COVID, it was, let's
Yeah.
hang out, let's have a party, let's grill, let's drink. And I think over time you kind of end up alienating those friends, and you kind of have to explain to them like, hey, it's not you. I promise it's not you. I don't hate you. I don't look down upon you for your lifestyle, but like my lifestyle is just totally different now. And it was to the point where, okay, I would put like little sparkling water with lime in the cup, so it like felt like I was drinking, or like looked like I was drinking. But my friends, I was really lucky, they really saw the transformation, because like they noticed that I was overweight. And then the next time we got together, they were like, hey, you look like really different, what did you do? And I'm like, well, yeah, I started this fitness journey, and I started to take my health really seriously. And they really respected that. So after they see all the hard work, they're a lot less likely to like make comments like, oh, just have a drink, just have a shot, why can't you have it? Which that happened earlier on. But I just explained, hey, I don't like the way it makes me feel. And I get dehydrated, and then I don't want to go to the gym, and then I miss out on my goals. So kind of like you how serious that was. Like, yeah, it's a hobby, it's not my day job. I haven't made a career out of it. I'm very serious with my bikini bodybuilding. Otherwise, I wouldn't spend hours in the gym and hours meal prepping and taking care of my mind and my body for this. To me, it's not worth the drink. So that was kind of how it went. And then, like as you get older, your friends get older, they have kids, and like their lifestyles change too. So luckily that kind of helped me as well. So everybody kind of settled down after they turn 30. And they feel the same. They're like, yeah, I'm happy to go to bed at 9:30 and not go out at 9:30, which is what we used to do. So like, I'm really happy that we're all in that age range now where we have similar like body types and goals, where it's like, I really need to rest. I really need to take care of my body. So that helps.
Yeah. So if you are listening to this as a future spouse of a competitor, so if like your girlfriend or whoever is starting to compete, like what you can expect from the routine, it's going to bed early, waking up early, it's exhaustion, like so much exhaustion during like the contest prep. It's like I feel good from like 5 a.m. to like noon, and then post noon it's like a slow like trickle of energy, and then you're just like everything is hard. Everything is hard when you're low calories. So at the beginning of the prep it doesn't really kick in until you're like 6 to 8 weeks is where it's like real rough. But the beginning of it, it's like, yeah, this is fun, like I have great energy, and then it's like, okay, this is not fun anymore. Cardio is high, so you might not see your significant other. You're getting up early to do cardio, and then you have to train and go to work and then train again, more cardio, like meal prepping, spending time meal prepping. It takes a lot of time away from like your significant other. So I'm like during a contest prep, like I would be gone like all day. I would get home to like 8 or 9. And by the time I get home, it's time to shower, pack your meals up for the next morning, either make a dinner or like pass out. Like there was no hangout time. There was like literally barely time to get everything like done that you needed to do, which is hard for your significant other. But one thing that we started to do is just still eat together. So like you can make it work. So like we would have chicken meals together, or like the same proteins, but he would get carbs. So like we would do like chicken salads. He would have like a chicken salad plus like, garlic toast, or like plus pasta. And then that way we could still cook it fresh together. And then he could have like a variation of it. Or like I would eat my meal while he's cooking his. And then while he's eating, I would do the dishes. So I didn't have to see him eating the food, which was kind of nice. So we kind of found little ways to kind of still be together. But there was lots of nights where I would sit. I had already scarfed down my meal in like a minute, and I would just drink my water and stare at him and just be like, like, what am I doing? A hard thing too was trying to convince him to go out to eat when I was on prep, and like him eating only and me not. That can be weird for some people. Like I don't think it's weird, but at the beginning, when two people go out to eat, normally both people go, like both parties have a meal of some sort. And when you're just like competing, there's just no chance. Like you can't risk it. You can't chance it. You don't know who's cooking it and the oil and the salt and you can't. So we started to do like, I can just get a literal lettuce, like lettuce sauce on the side. You can bring your own chicken in a baggie, put it on and make it work, or like have an iced tea or have a diet soda or something. So you can go get a drink out, like a pop. But it is hard. It is hard because, you know, there's like a long time where we didn't have like dates at a restaurant plus COVID. So like we were stuck in our house for a long time. But now like we started to train together at the gym, which is really fun. And then he likes to travel to my shows. So we kind of make them mini vacations. So we'll either go a couple days before or after. So that way we can like make the trips something together and something fun. But you do kind of have to consider the other person when your routine is crazy because there's like such limited time. So was there anything that you guys might have done to kind of like help them adjust, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I need to know how you got your boyfriend into the gym. I recently got my husband working out like in my home gym because he was just like super
Yeah,
averse to going to the gym. He's like, I don't want to be in the gym for 3 hours like you. Like, I just need to do 45 minutes and I'll be done. But I'm like,
we
no,
drive
we gotta
separate now. That's we have to drive separate. That's the
oh,
way. We'll drive separate and I'll either go early and then he'll meet me there so we can like lift around the same time. And then he can leave early so I can do cardio. But that's one way. But it took me, I had to convince, I was talking about for like 3 years. He just started his like true fitness journey this year. So it just took me, like, I wasn't going to push it. And I never want to push anything on fitness on anyone. And so I always would make comments of like, I'm not going to push it, but when you're ready to go to the gym, you'll go to the gym. And I would just say it like that. Like, I'm not going to nag you. I'm not going to force you to eat my healthy meals. When you're ready to go and you're ready to eat, I am full of knowledge and ready for you. So it took time. And then eventually, like, pretty sure he's like, okay, well, you kind of know what you're doing now. So he started to listen to what I was saying. At first he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, oh, I definitely do. And so now like he's implementing some of my tips for like training and stuff. So it's really cool. But with you guys, what do you guys do?
so I'm really lucky because my husband likes to cook and he's a homebody. So he's not always like itching to go out or hang out with friends and stuff like that. So like particularly through COVID, we thrived because we just preferred to be home anyway. The way that we kind of spend time together is uh, kind of similar to you. It's like we wake up and we're working from home. We don't talk that much because we're really busy, but after work, I go straight to the gym. And then when I come home, that's like our meal time, our TV time, or I'm like, all right, let me like try to like get off my phone and like try to get off social media and try to get off work and just spend time with him because, you know, bodybuilding is a really selfish sport and all of those things kind of come before your relationships in order to achieve those physique goals. So you know, I'm guilty and like I have to apologize for like the way that I probably neglected like our marriage and our friends and our family in order to achieve these goals. But there was that time, whether that was like at the end of the day or on the weekend. It's like really hard for me to get my workout done early in the morning. So I try to like have a family day and then work out late at night. But he'll cook for me, but then he'll ask like, what can you eat? Like what, you know, chicken breast, like he'll make like something Asian because I really love like Asian food and I crave Chinese food. He's like, but you can't have the sugar in here, right? Like, I'm like, no, just add Splenda. Like, that's fine. So, he knows that I like crave these foods, but he'll kind of like prepare some things for me. And I'm also really lucky because, you know, because of COVID, you know, a lot of people, you know, were home, they were sedentary, maybe they didn't have the best mental health, and there was a lot of weight gain coming out of like this pandemic. So he was nice enough to like eat some of the prepped meals that I made, just like in larger portions. So like Sav, he would eat the chicken and the rice and the lettuce, or when I had high fat meals and I had salmon and steak, he was more than happy to eat those. And like, you know, he would get the cheese, he would get the extra sauce, while I would just have the plain meals. So he's like, dude, if you weren't eating like this during the pandemic, like I would have gained all that weight back. I would have been a whale and we would have been unhealthy again. So you know, we kind of like take some delight in that and spend time on that. But really, all the fatigue sets in and we just spend time watching TV. At the end of my day, nothing is better than getting on the couch or going to bed early and watching TV with him. And that's kind of our time. And he knows that. And like he kind of gets impatient too. He's like, hurry up, get home, like take your showers so we can like eat and watch our TV. Like don't delay it, because like you said, I'm also getting home and back from the gym at 9 o'clock. And by that time it's ready to go to bed to get up early to go to work again. So I'm lucky that he's really understanding, and the longevity of how long that I've done it has really helped him to understand that I'm serious about it. And it's not just like, you know, some cute little thing. It's like, you know, I really care about this. Otherwise I wouldn't put so much of my heart and soul into it.
It's hard. So some of the comments I remember at the beginning, like it wasn't necessarily from him, but it was just from people in general, just like general population of kind of like adjustments to it. It's so hard to explain how certain things are there. It's like, is this healthy? Like, is this healthy? They would say things like, you know, if I was witnessing someone else eat a meal and I wasn't having a meal, they would feel like I was judging them for not. And then I think it made them like conscious of their health choices. So I felt like a lot of people, when they know like you're in health and fitness and a bodybuilder, they have to like justify why they're eating bad in front of you. It happens all the time. It happens. I used to serve in a restaurant when I first started in my fitness journey. So I would tell people that and they're like, so you probably don't eat here. I'm like, I definitely don't eat anything in this restaurant anymore. And they were like, well, you know, like I've been really, you know, I'm just, you know, this is like a cheat day. I don't eat like this all the time. And they have to like justify what they were having or something like that. And I could care less what anyone's eating. Like, I really don't. Like, if you want to eat unhealthy or bad, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me, but I would love to talk to you and help you if you need healthy advice. I think that's a big thing for a supporter of a competitor to realize, is like, we're not judging you for not doing this lifestyle, like at all. We don't see you differently. If you're not lean, we don't look at someone and say, oh wow, they're really like over like weight. I never look at someone. A lot of times the girls that I love like have more body fat than I do. Like a lot of the times they have those curves and shapes. Because when you're stage lean, you're just like, oh my gosh, I wish I had curves, you know? Oh my gosh, I wish I looked like that. So there was a lot of weird things that happen when you start to like become a bodybuilder, and you have to kind of like constantly, I don't know, I feel like people ask you questions, like weird questions of like this: how much water do you drink? Do you drink one of those a day? Like, I had someone in the airport, this lady doesn't know me, I'm carrying my jug around. She goes, did you hear the study? I said, what study? She goes, drinking that much water is bad for your kidneys. It's like, good to know. Good to know. So like little comments like that, I know they're not trying to be hateful. They're not trying to make you feel bad and anything, but just be very mindful of like comments to a bodybuilder. And I remember when I first started, did anyone ever tell you, don't get too big?
Oh my God. Yes, definitely. My brother is also like a weightlifter, and we powwow in the gym all the time. And you know, when I first started this, I remember there was like one shoulder day where I was like particularly proud of myself. I had the cutest little pump, and I like walked up to him. I was so proud, and he looks at me and he goes, "Don't get any bigger than that." I was like, "What? Like, this looks awesome."
Yeah.
And it made me self-conscious, right? Because I was like, "Oh no, like I don't want to get like manly, or you know, whatever those like misconceptions are about the sport." And obviously I know now like how hard it is to put on muscle, and like I'm not gonna look manly by any means. Like my husband's never made a comment like, is this the farthest you're gonna go? Like this is too much. So, no one's really gotten to me like that. But you get comments kind of on both sides of the spectrum, like, oh, don't get too big, or oh, you look like when you're in peak week, like, oh, you look like a bag of bones. And it's like, oh man, please don't like make these comments, because like body dysmorphia in this sport is real. Like once you see how you look on prep at the end of prep, it's really hard to go back to your old self. But your old self is normal and it's healthy, and it's what's required to get to the next level. But those little comments can really mess with your mental health once you're in a sport that focuses on your physique and aesthetics and vanity, in addition to strength and mobility. So, the biggest thing I would say is like, yeah, like please be careful with your comments, like bag of bones, or you're too skinny, or you're only eating tilapia, are you anorexic? Like people say those things in jest, but they can really kind of get to you and distort your perception of how you view yourself, when in reality you might be on track to your goals. You just look a certain way because you're at a certain point in your journey. So just like, yeah, be super careful with those comments, because mental health is a big thing, particularly now when you never really know how it might affect a competitor or what they're dealing with. There's so many highs and lows of prep, and you never really know where you're going to be at what stage in the cycle. The best thing you can do is to be supportive, and hope and know that they're with a coach that's like taking care of them and taking care of their body, and keeping them healthy, which is also really important.
Yeah, because like at a certain point, like you do look healthy at the beginning of the prep and like when you're full of carbs, but when you're like lean, like stage lean where you need to be, you look a little sick. You look a little sunken in. It's not a fresh everyday look that you're trying to like, it's not a youthful, lifeful look. Like you're trying to be like it's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be attainable. It's for one day, for literally like 2 minutes. You're trying to hold that leanness, and then you go back to normal within a day ish, kind of. But you know what I mean? It's hard. Like those comments, and then like the random strangers on social media. You need to eat a burger, or have a burger. Why don't you? Or just saying things like, aren't you missing out? Like you're going to miss out. How are you going to live your life doing this? Like, are you going to regret it? And like, no, I'm having so much fun. Like it is fun. Like I love the gym. I love training. Shows are fun. This is fun for us. But compared to like that average person, they don't understand it because they've never done it. So it doesn't seem fun to diet for ever, pretty much, I guess, to diet forever, to eat healthy food all the time, to drink the water and have the supplements and all the posing and the training and da 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 da. But one thing too, with bikini, that is like another category too, because you're putting it all out there. So sometimes I think they might have thought that, are you doing this for attention? And are you posting about it? Like, why do you need to post about it to be attention? And guys, come on. When I post about my physique on social media, it is usually because I feel very confident and so proud of like how hard that I had to work to get there, that I want to like show it off of like, okay, here's where I was, here's where I am, you can do it too. Like trying to do it in that light, instead of like, here's my cool abs and my glutes, like everyone look at me. Like it's never like that. It's never supposed to be that way. So did you kind of feel that way with like social media?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it took me so long to be open about it on social media. And it's ironic because I work in like marketing and communications, and like social media was like a big part of my career, but I was so secretive about this part of my life because I was worried about being judged. I follow, all the IFBB pros and Olympians, and other girls in the sport, amateurs, and you see the comment section, and it's just like social media is awful. It's literally awful. It was like designed for one purpose, and then it just morphed into this other thing. And sometimes I don't want to be there because of all the negativity. But when bikini bodybuilding became a bigger part of my life, I was like, well, I'm really proud of this. And I don't think there's anything wrong to everybody else shares what they're proud of and what they're interested in. Like, you like cars, you share, your cars on social media. You like food, you post your food pictures when you're traveling on social media. Why can't I post pictures of, my naturally built body that I work so hard to get after being in this like horrible, unhealthy place? And I think, one of the things that I like about sharing is, for a bikini bodybuilder, like balance is bullshit. You said it in one of your podcasts before. Like we don't do balance because this unbalance towards the end of everything is how we get to this physique, but it's not how we live our lives in the day to day. But it kind of shows that like, hey, like if you make normal people who aren't into a sport or an athlete, you can make like really small changes and achieve what you want to achieve and not have to be as extreme as me. So I don't know. I kind of really like sharing some of my successes. And then when people ask, I get lots of friends who ask like, oh, how did you lose weight? And I'm like, hey, like it wasn't some like fad diet or anything like that. Like in the beginning, it was really just paying attention to what I ate, not eating processed foods and moving more and lifting. Like there was no diet, there was no tea, there was no whatever. And just like trying to simplify it for them so they don't feel like, like they're stuck where they are, or that, they're just buying products or buying programs that don't ever work for them. So I love being like a real world example, or help for my friends. Whether they take the advice or not is to be seen, but I think it's something to be proud of, and we shouldn't hide, like why hide? We're doing something really positive for both our bodies and our minds.
Yeah, I like that too, because at first it was nerve-wracking to kind of, it feels like you have to come out, like you literally like have to like come out of your identity and be like, okay guys, like I have something to announce, like I'm a bodybuilder now. And it's nerve-wracking to make that announcement to people. And I remember I wouldn't tell people at first that I was doing a bikini bodybuilding competition. I just said I was training for a fitness competition. And I didn't specify that it was for like bodybuilding. Like I couldn't.
Me too.
I never identified myself as like a bikini bodybuilder until a couple of shows. And then I'm like, now I'm a bodybuilder. I'm proud to say it. And anyone that's like, hey, like you're muscly, like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a bodybuilder. And I know that I'm not scared to say it. But at first I would just say, oh yeah, I'm just training for a fitness event. And they're like, so you're going to get on stage and like flex your muscles. I'm like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I just kind of kept it to myself. I kept it quiet for a little while. And then eventually the conversation started to get easier, of like getting excited about it. Like I've done it multiple times, because you never know how you're going to do. But let's talk about placing. So when you place or not place, your family, friends always have an opinion about it. Always, always, always. So regardless if you get first or you get last, this is the comment that my mom will say: you look beautiful, sweetie. We were so proud. You should have gotten first. Like they have no idea. And it's so sweet. And I know that they mean well by it. But the only thing is, unless you are a judge, your judgments don't matter. Like, I'm sorry, they don't matter. Same thing. It's like, unless you're my coach or you are a judge giving me feedback, all of your comments of like, oh, you should have won, that girl isn't as good as you, like, don't mean anything at the end of the day. So how is your placing? Like, did you have like good placing? How did they react to it? What did they say?
Yeah, I mean, my first couple of competitions, I was the same way. I didn't tell my friends or family because, it was like almost embarrassment. Like they're not going to believe me that I'm doing this. But as I got further into competitions and I got into better shape, like my last competition was probably my best one. And that's where that was the first time that I got comments from my friends and family that were like, oh, you should have won that. Like you should have won that. And it really messed with me in the beginning, because I mean, I spend a lot of time studying the sport and doing research and like looking at the criteria of other bikini competitors. And like, I was like, okay, let's like actually have a discussion about it. So like post show, I had all my like friends and family over and we had like the pictures pulled up and I was explaining the criteria to them because one thing that I realized that I didn't communicate well enough to them was like, what is the point of this and what are the judges looking for? So like, and you can like give me better feedback as I'm going through this. Like, am I there or not? Sometimes you need that tough love. Sometimes you need another eye. So it's like, hey, like you need to have capped shoulders and they need to look like this, and your glutes need to be round and look like this, and they need to see your hamstrings and they look like this, and a tight core. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see that. So, I think that helped them to understand, what I need to look like and why I may not have gotten the placing that I wanted. It's not going to stop them from supporting me. They still said, yeah, you should have gotten first place. You should have gotten first place. And, I try to remember that, placing isn't everything. And it can be so hard, right? When you're hoping for something and you're really working towards it for a long time. But our goal with this last show, I did really want to take home that win, but of course we wanted to qualify for nationals, but like really qualify for nationals, right? Like actually have a competitive physique. And I think I really did that. So, I explained that to them and they totally get it. And I think once you show them photos of the other competitors, particularly at the national level of like, hey, here's what the judges are rewarding and what they're liking, and here's what the trends are, they see, and they're like, oh, I get it. Cool. And it's not to like bring you down or like bring them down on their comments, but just to like show them the reality of what you're really working towards and why you do need more work and why you can't have that cookie or that drink or why you do need to do the extra 10 minutes of cardio.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was a big thing too, like understanding like what the judges are looking for, because at the end of the day, it is subjective. So if the judges just want to go in someone else's favor, they can, because they can. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that they were better than them, in better shape, more pretty, had better hair. It doesn't mean anything. It just could be like they just had it that day, like they really were confident. It could be like the smallest little detail of like, oh, maybe she did a weird pose and then dropped her core in a position and the other girl didn't, and they were exactly like, first and second, but it just like was one pose where someone maybe did something different that, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be completely anything. That's why it's so hard to get like place high in a sport, because if 1 week you could be first, the next last, and then the next first, like it doesn't make sense logically, right? All other sports besides bodybuilding it's like a clear winner. Like in sports teams, like there's a certain amount of points you have to win by, or there's a certain amount of rules, or you have to be strong. Like in men's bodybuilding, it's very easy. It's like the big guy wins, right? But it's not necessarily like the biggest bikini butt wins. It's not like it's a balance. So sometimes it doesn't make sense when you're like, well, that girl, how did she win? She's smaller than that girl. Or, it doesn't make sense to the average person, but what actually is happening is a lot different.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest thing for my family to wrap their like minds around, was like the rules and the criteria are very subjective, like you said. So there's not a score. There's not like, you get this many points for this many inches of glutes. It's literally just so subjective. They're like, this doesn't make sense if it's a sport. I'm like, I know, but this is a sport I chose.
Yes, it doesn't make sense too. And then at the national level, like I was trying to explain to he didn't understand. Like he didn't understand until after, because he saw me look my quote unquote like best shape I've ever looked. So he's like, you're surely gonna win. Like you're sure, like feeding you this stuff, because like obviously like I did look the best I've ever looked. I looked the leanest I'd had ever been. But he doesn't realize there's like 500 other girls that are also looking the best they've ever looked. So at nationals, like that step to go to nationals is to get a pro card. You don't only have to look your best, but you have to look the best out of like 500 girls on one single day. And it's not only just the best in like your region, like of the local girls, it's like the whole best of like the whole United States country. And then when you start to think about that, you're like, yeah, there's no room for bites and treats and drinks at all. Like you have to be on it. So that like dedication level, like get there, it's extreme and it's going to take some sacrifice. So just know if you have a competitor that's trying to go to nationals, that it's going to be a lot of selfishness and like time in the gym and posing. And like my mind is, it sucks that I can't like separate it because it gets so hard because you're just so pigeon focused of like the show, the show, the show, the show, the show. And your significant other, I remember my boyfriend, he kind of explained it this way. He's like, you get the high of show day, and like I experienced like the low of prep, which he experiences the low of prep, but he doesn't get the high. So like we do, but they don't. Yeah. So like they only get to see the bad parts. So it's really hard for them to like want you to go through this again and again, because all they see is you're not going to hang out with me. You're not going to eat with me. We can't go on dates. You're not going to drink. You're going to be mean. You're going to be grumpy. You're going to go to bed early. Like they see the negative side, but once you like realize like how rewarding it is and like how much that means to us, just get on board. But get on board. And like the best thing that you can do is like if someone's on a prep, I know that I slack on dishes, I slack on laundry, like those things get pushed to the side, and like he will have to help me, and I'll just be like, I really can't, like I really don't have energy. It's like I'm tired. So they do have to kind of like pick up. Someone has to pick up those things that we can't, especially if we're doing cardio forever and ever and ever. So that's one thing that I would just say is get prepared to their mind is going to be elsewhere, but just be there for them before and after the show. That's kind of where I was thinking about it. It's just remember to, as a competitor,
Lost you, Sav. Am
I there?
Hi.
Okay.
Lost you for a second there, or for like a minute.
Now my internet's not the best. There it goes. Okay. Okay, yeah. So like I was saying, it's just like your significant other is just going to be thinking so much about the show. Just be there for them. And then at the end of the day, if you're a competitor listening to this, like you have to force yourself to remember there's another person going through this journey with you. So don't forget about them.
Yeah, and tell them what you need too. Like the things that, you know, maybe competitors don't necessarily tell their loved ones, whether it's like their spouse or their family on their friends, is like, you know, we're prepping for a really long time for one day, but we need support throughout the process. So like, help us meal prep. Like, let's make it fun. Let's celebrate the small wins, the 1% wins. There are little tiny things that you can celebrate kind of every single day, whether that was like celebrating staying on track or like feeling really good after a workout. Encouraging each other to move. I think, something we could be better at is like, let's just like go on a long walk. Like, having someone or a partner, I'm so jealous that you get your boyfriend to go to the gym with you. It's like having a partner to do some of the hard work with you, even if it's not the 3-hour workouts. Like, let's just go on a long walk. Let's get that 25-minute cardio out together. That's a way that you could support. And also just like noticing when your competitor is fatigued. Like, it's not trying to be lazy. It is genuine. Like, your body is to the point of exhaustion. I apologize in advance for not doing the dishes or cleaning the house. The day after show day, I'll have a lot more energy, but like recognizing that and like not making us feel bad for it because it's in the pursuit of a bigger goal, I think is really helpful. And then just making time for self-care. Like, it doesn't matter whether like you're a competitor or not. Like, everyone needs self-care, whether that's mental or physical. So, girlfriends, book a pedicure with your competitor, or boyfriends book a massage together with your competitor, or like take notice if she's like complaining about really sore all the time. Like massage guns are like $40 on Amazon, guys. Like there's just like all sorts of little things that you can do to support your competitor. And I think it just like makes the process a lot more fun and gives more longevity to the journey, and then maybe inspires others to become a part of it as well.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So maybe we could touch on gifts for competitors and like how to like have how to make your holidays competitor friendly, because it's kind of going into the holiday season, because right now we're about to have all the holidays. So there's going to be Halloween, we got, and then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, New Year's, all of those holidays. So birthday gifts, and like gifts that don't relate to food. Same thing with traveling too. So like from some ideas for gifts, like you said, nothing food, nothing food unless it's a protein bar. I would love to get some like new supplements. You can get them all the time. Like get a new protein powder, a new pre-workout. Hey, I was thinking about you. I got you your favorite protein bar or whatever, or like figuring out what are their actual macros, like fitting in things like go buy them a sleeve of rice cakes. Like no harm. Like get them a new gallon of water bottle, a new pair of shoes, workout gear, bands, any type of fitness equipment, anything. What else do you think for like other gift ideas?
Oh man, one of the things that I really came across, you said the gallon bottle of water. It's like, that every competitor has a million like water bottles and like protein shakers and stuff like that. But like for some reason, a brand new one just like really picks you
Yeah.
up, because yours is like old and crusty. You don't feel like washing it, or like the seal got loose and it leaks water. It's like those things are super helpful and a pick me up. Obviously, we're addicted to clothes and shoes. Like nothing makes me feel better than getting a new workout outfit, because then it makes me want to go straight to the gym. I recently also discovered just like more handy ways to travel. So now that we're going back into like work travel and travel to see families, like traveling while on prep is just like a whole nother beast. So like finding a nice lunchbox that can fit like on top of your suitcase, and like little containers for your protein powder, the little drink packets that are 0 calorie, like little competitor care packages, like paying attention to the things that your loved one like brings to your family meal. A new set of Tupperware, like Tupperware gets so gross.
Yes.
Just like all those little are really thoughtful and nice, and would really be helpful. And always, like gift cards are super easy too. Like it's easy enough to figure out, like look at what she's liking on Instagram, and like, okay, let's get her, like an angel competition gift card towards her next suit or shoes or jewelry, right? Like plug for angels. But there's so much cost and preparation and time that goes into bikini bodybuilding. I mean, a gift certificate for their next haircut, or whatever, nails, toes. There's plenty.
There's plenty. There's plenty. Yeah. So that's a great thing too. Like competing is expensive. So it's gonna be a lot. So like with when you have a significant other, like you kind of have to budget for competing together. I we kind of still keep our finances separate. But I spent quite a pretty penny on competing, and just like you have to sacrifice some things if you're going to do that for the other person too, and like realize like if you're going on this journey together, it's like your money is getting spent together on competing. Like so that's like a hard conversation like you need to have before you even like do this thing, because it's gonna cost, not like it's not like $100 of like let's do this. It's like a few grand, like lots of few grands together, stack them up every show, like training, and like you said, training and hair and makeup and tanning. It's so expensive, and that can be a burden on like a couple or like a family too. So especially if you have like kids in the mix. So now that's even a different conversation of like, okay, now you got to think about what this is going to do to your family too. I don't have kids. I don't know what it's like to have young supporters of the sport. I'm sure it's great. I don't know. I'm sure it's fine. But for holidays too, what are some ideas for how you can make holidays competitor friendly?
Oh my gosh. I am like the queen. I'm like the queen of this because um, I crave so much food, and through Instagram and through my coach and YouTube, I've been able to just find like prep hacks to make me feel like I'm having something indulgent or like that satisfies that sweet tooth or that savory kind of craving, but that isn't. And I'm always that nerd that brings the healthy snack to the party. It's like yesterday there was a baby shower potluck thing, and it was like barbecue and cookies and hot dogs, and I was like, no. So like I literally brought like cucumbers and like low fat tzatziki dip, but like I made it cute. And so, like I'm always that person that try to brings the lower like fat options, the lower calorie options, but then like try to make it cute. And I'm not very good at that. Like Pinterest has like Halloween is coming up, and they have all these like charcuterie ideas and like spooky treats and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, instead of like pretzel rods and chocolate, could I do like carrot sticks and make the carrot sticks look like fingers? Like, I don't know. I'm not the greatest at that, but I will always be willing to like look on Pinterest and try. There's also a really awesome account that I follow. I think it's called A Design on Instagram, and he'll like make these little cheat day treats, but like infuse them with proteins. So when you want like cheesecake, you'll like make it so at least you're like getting protein. And so I'll like make that and then bring it. It's like, oh yeah, I brought muffins, but there's like egg whites and proteins and spinach in here and you didn't know it. So I'm like the MacGyver of like egg whites and spinach, like put it into everything to hit my goals.
Yeah, I like that too. So I think what my mom always like makes sure that we either have something separate from meat or there's always vegetable like options. We always will have like a side salad and then dressing on the side, everything on the side, like cheese and dairy on the side. What else? Like, and it's kind of like build your own meal. I always will bring a scale. So there's always some type of protein, and sometimes she'll cook the protein with like cheese or bacon, but then for sure make me a separate one that's like real plain, real basic as well. And like the drinks too, like having sparkling waters, so then you can still have like a fun cocktail or at least like something fizzy that's not just water, or like crystal lights, take a packet with you and pop some crystal lights in it, and suddenly it's a colored drink, and oh my gosh, you're drinking now. Everyone thinks you're drinking if it's colored, or like a fun straw. I mean, it's not too hard of just like trying to consider them and not judging them for what they do eat and not making it a thing. Like really just like, if they're there, just let them eat whatever they want. Don't make a comment or whatever. Just like, you're just kind of like make it as subtle as possible, like as normal as possible, as if someone had like a life-threatening illness. I know there's certain specific diets, like if you had a certain life-threatening illness and you can only eat a certain way, like imagine it like that. Like it's just so normal or like typical, or like it's not anything special. It's like, oh, that's just how they are, that's how they eat. Like I know certain people are gluten-free, dairy-free, like we don't really say anything about them, that's just how they eat. So try to make it as normal and natural as possible without making it like a whole thing of like, oh, well, Savannah's going to have her own special meal. And it's just like, no, just like we made it for her so she can eat with us or something like that.
Yeah. It's either I come and I eat the way I need to eat to achieve my goals, or like I don't show up to the events, and I'd rather show up, right? Like you guys would rather me show up. So, eating isn't, it's like the centerpiece for social gatherings, but it doesn't have to be, right? Like make it about the people and the memories, and less about the food that you ate. Like you're not going to remember the food that you ate, but you're going to remember the good time that you had.
We're getting close to like the hour mark, so I did want to leave the like end of this episode to get to highlight like you as an athlete. So like, how is you said you were prepping?
Yeah, I'm 11 weeks out from the Nationals in Orlando, December 17th and 18th. It'll be my first national show. I am absolutely terrified of who is going to show up that day. So I'm trying to get out of my head and just kind of focus on being the best me that I can be. But I'm stoked.
It'll be fun. It'll be super exciting. That's going to be competitive because like everyone is trying to get their last minute pro cards. So it'll be really fun. So just whatever happens, you have all next year and the next years and the next years happen. What was your feedback going into the show? Like, what have you guys been working on?
So we've been working on better shoulders, need a little bit more shoulder cap, tighter core, and a little bit more hamstrings. So I think conditioning wise is going to be a big focus over the next 11 weeks. So making friends with that Stairmaster, staking my claim in the gym is kind of what I'm focusing on a lot. But I got really good feedback on like suit and the look, maybe a little bit more sass. So I'm really looking forward to hitting that stage again and hopefully fulfilling all those requirements.
Okay, and then why do you compete?
I compete because it keeps me accountable. I guess I've been like a competitive person, but it gives me a long-term goal to make sure that I don't ever fall off and be, 40, 50, 60 pound heavier Stacy again. So, my kind of thing is, I'll compete once a year. I'd love to go pro. That's kind of like my next goal. This will be my second competition this year. So I've already kind of surpassed that goal because I'm already in good condition now. So why not try, do my first national show and get a feel for it and try again next year. And doing that yearly, it keeps me accountable. It keeps me on track. It gives me something to look forward to. And honestly, it's just really fun. It's really, really fun to compete and have something to look forward to. And then just the daily regimen of being a bodybuilder and just having, you do the same things every day. I like that. It gives me structure. And so I think it's just really good for mental health in a world where just everything is so different than it has been before.
I like it. I think you're going to do really well, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know. So just give it your all. It's really nerve wracking. Like it's very I still get nervous, like super nervous. I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I'm not nervous, but it's really fun. So I'm excited to see you on stage and have you experience your first national show. You'll never forget it. So just soak it. It goes so fast and enjoy it. It's so much fun and you will do super good. Well, thank you for coming on and thank you for giving us this idea. I think this was a really great episode that a lot of people can relate to, that they can either show a significant other or spouse and like have them listen to it and be like, oh, okay, now I get to what you guys are meaning. Like this is a thing. Like a lot of people experience it or, oh, I did say those comments. I shouldn't have said those. Sorry about that. So thank you so much. And then where can our listeners find you on social media?
Sure. My primary account is Instagram, and you can find me at Stacy with an E, STACEYLA Miller, Stacy La Miller.
Right. So we'll be looking for you on December 17th and 18th. So make sure we'll root for you for nationals, and you guys can follow this podcast too. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll post this episode on YouTube. It'll